One of the first things I do when planning a hike is some research. There's a lot of good information online, and you can use your cell phone or your laptop. We'll get started here. All goes as planned. You'll be seeing this in a big screen, while me in a little screen. Let's move that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I use AllTrails quite a bit. I have a paid subscription, but you don't need one. There's a couple features that are nice to have with the paid subscription, but don't. So I find my local area or the area that I want to go to. I navigate to an area where I'm interested in, and look for trails in that area. Now, some things you can see, you can scroll through here. It tells you that this one's easy. That's an easy trail. You can also filter your list by that, so it only shows you what type of trails you're interested in. If you're new and starting out, easy and moderate. If you're looking for exercise, definitely go with moderate. Easies are usually flat walks and usually very short and not much. You can see here, you've got a nice map when you click on one, and this is what I look at the most, the incline. I like ones like this where I'm walking up a hill, then I turn around and come back down the hill. That way I have a nice area in the middle at the top where I can have my snacks or lunch, and I walk back down. This one is a little over 6 miles long. I don't know, about, what is it, almost 2,000 foot elevation gain. It estimates 4.5 miles. You can also see here it says it's an out and back trail. That means you walk out and back. If it just says point to point, that means you need to have a vehicle at the other end, or you need to plan on walking all the way back, and that doubles your time. And here's a nice little 3D mode that I generally don't let it play through. I pause it and then I grab it, and you can use the control button and you can scroll around here. This gives you kind of I can see, since I do a lot of photography, I like to see what my views are in the area, which is what I'm doing here. I can grab it, move it around, look and see, I can see the Columbia River down the gorge, and it's kind of a nice, get an idea of what it's like. And the next thing I want to do is click on Get Directions. See how long of a drive it's going to be. Make sure I have fuel, or the car is charged enough to make that distance and get back, especially if you're going out. In my case, I go out to the gorge a lot where there's not a lot of charging stations, and I drive an electric car, so I need to make sure my range will get me there and back, or there and to a charging station. Next, very important thing is the weather. Now, currently looking at today, to go for a hike or tomorrow. So I'm going to look at the area that I'm going to, of course. And most people are familiar with weather.com, so I'm not going to give a tutorial on that. I do want to show that if it says it's rain, it doesn't mean that the hike is out. That means that I have different priorities. If I wanted to go somewhere with a nice, grand, scenic view, cloudy days are not necessarily the best days for those types of hikes. So rainy days, cloudy days, I might want to stay a little bit lower. I might want to go someplace where there's other things to see, waterfalls and rock formations, maybe mountain peaks sticking up. So sunset is another good thing to look at. That way you can plan on, if you're at risk of being out, and like I said, plan about an hour before sunset, it getting dark in the forest if you're going to be in a wooded area or in a valley. And take extra flashlights and lighting with you. And most people have cell phones, maybe watches with lighting on them. It doesn't hurt. I always keep at least one light in my backpack, and I'll usually take another one, especially if I'm going to be later in the day. And if I know I'm going to be out after dark, I'll take a lantern that attaches to the top of my backpack. This time of year, I check NOAA and sometimes the forestry department site for snow levels. My car is not great at driving in the snow, so the first thing I need to know is that I can get there and get back. Now, as far as hiking in the snow, I don't mind hiking in a few inches of snow. I wear a different pair of boots for that are more waterproof, a little higher up the ankle, and I might, colder it is, it changes a few things. The layers I take, the type of weather protection I have, what type of gloves I might have. If it's going to be a lot of snow or very cold where I'm going because of the elevation, I won't just take my climbing gloves. I will also take some warm gloves, especially once I get to the top of a summit and then I'm going back down. Going back down, I tend to be a bit colder, and I like being comfortable. So I will put my gloves on, keep myself warm. And backpack will hold a lot of stuff. You don't really notice the weight so much on your back. I mean, you do, but it's negligible. The water that you're packing is usually going to be the heaviest thing you have. Now, here's a nice what an easy hike looks like. It's just, you can see there's not a lot of elevation change. It goes from 350 feet to 690 feet. That's just a few hundred feet. Tall building, you can easily accomplish that up some stairs. So, and here's the 3D model of that area. You can see though, even though you might not be into hardcore or heavy or tiring walks, you can still go out and see excellent views of the gorge. Columbia River Gorge is one of my favorite places for hikes, and I've been doing this a while, and I've never run out of new things to see. And almost every trail looks completely different season to season, and sometimes year to year, especially with fire damage that goes through there. Every year something burns in that area. And again, this one shows a little bit of snow later in the week, so that's something to keep in mind, even though it's not very high up. And the snow is probably not sticking, but you still might want to be protected from it. Notice that All Trails has a lot of pictures, and if you use their app, you can share pictures, and I recommend it. It helps other people. Sometimes when I'm not certain about the snow levels or the conditions of the trail, I will look at the most recent pictures. Inevitably, so many people use All Trails, you can usually find pictures within the past month, sometimes within the past day. And that can be very useful. You know, those pictures are very recent. All Trails will also tell you, there's a notice section in there that will tell you whether trail is closed, or if there's any parking pass required, or parking payment or admission. And there are a few out there. Most places do require a parking pass, and that's something to keep in mind. If you're going to do this a lot, an annual pass, almost all of them are $30. The Oregon State one is $30. The Washington State one is $30. The Northwest Forestry Pass, which is a federal U.S. Forestry Department areas, is also, I think that one's $80, but that covers 2 states in a lot of areas. And actually, I think they have a $30 one as well. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to go to our phones. Most people have these now. And if you don't have it already, get All Trails or some sort of mapping program, whatever your choice is. I use All Trails, and I'm basically this tip thing. I'm just going to show you what I use. You can do what I do or find your own way, but maybe it'll give you some ideas. So let's see here. I'm going to go to All Trails. That's the one I use most for. All Trails is great for pre-routed maps and stuff. So I'm going to type in the name of the trail here. If you recall, earlier we looked on computer and found it. And here I've already downloaded the maps. If not, click on download. That might be a paid feature, so it may or may not be available. If it is and you're not paying for it, just make sure you have the map up before you go on your walk. It should stay there, I think. No promises. Then I click Get Directions. This will go to your mapping program. Mine is Google Maps, and it will show us, you can see here, it shows us how long of a drive it is, plan accordingly, and route, or sometimes different routing options. And it has a lot of the features the website does too, but we're going to go over, I'll show you real quick, Onyx Backcountry, which is a great app for, it also has some download maps. You find the area you want, and you basically just save the maps. The big thing about this is it has fewer maps than, fewer pre-made maps or routes than All Trails. However, this will allow you to route through areas that don't have trails. And one of its great things are its overlays. There's overlays for current weather, snow coverage, trail conditions, precipitation, fire or historical fire. It also has, one of the most useful to me is property boundaries. It will show you where private property is. Just trying to find the right area here. And it will show you where forestry department is. Basically, any land you're on, you can get an idea of whether it's private property or what government agency owns it, or what. That could keep you out of trouble if you're going along. That's more of a out of the scope of this beginner tips here. See here, you can see here some of the different shadings and colors here from the overlays. As we move around here, you can see the boundaries for different things. And once we find our area here, I think this looks like the right area here. And we'll zoom out a little bit. Then we'll get ourselves some, there, see now we make that go away. And here we click on offline maps, new maps. It gives us an area, tells us about how much space it is. We can choose how much detail. I usually just do medium unless it's something important. And in here, we'll give it a name. I'm just going to name it after the trail that we plan on hiking. And this will also, when you open up the map, it'll say there are updates available to your maps. If you need to update any of your offline maps, you can, one touch, you can update them here. Let's see, and there we go. We now have an offline map of this area, just in case something goes wrong with all trails. All trails sometimes, even with offline maps, gets glitchy without internet, so I kind of like to have a backup. Also use my Garmin watch to track my progress, and it can route me back out of an area if need to, and show me where I came from. I believe Samsung and Apple Watches also have these capabilities and track. Hi, I am going to show you a little bit about what I do to get ready. This video is aimed more at beginners, people just interested in what type of gear they need. And truthfully, you can go out and do this stuff with just a pair of tennis shoes and your average clothes, whatever's comfortable for you. I'll give you some of the tips that I go by. I like to do, a few 1,000-foot ascent hikes, 5, 6, 7 hours this time of year. It's winter time here. In the summertime, a good, nice, long 12-hour hike when it's still daylight out, that is great. So let's start with a backpack. I've used to hike without one. I find it handy because you don't even notice it most of the time when it's on there, and it can carry a lot of just-in-case stuff. For instance, here, these are crampons. These little spikes that strap onto the bottom of your shoes should you be in an area where traction is very difficult. Today's trip, I don't see that being an issue. We're below the snow level. There's not a lot of steep inclines, and it's going to be a fairly easy trip. However, one thing you always want is water. I always take at least enough water for the day. If you're only going hiking on like a 2-hour trip, 3 or 4 miles on flat surfaces, I may not take water. I will have water in the car though. So when I get back, if I'm thirsty, I will give me some water. And my backpack actually has a pouch and little slots to route the water hose, which makes it very, very handy. You can also take a water bottle, especially for shorter trips. Water bottles don't hold as much as the pouches, but most backpacks have water holders right here on the side of them. This one does as well. But again, I have the bag, so I use the bag. It's easy. It does make the backpack a little bit heavier, actually quite a bit heavier. Also, you can kind of feel the water pouch press against your back on this one. But overall, it's handy to have. I've emptied it out a couple times on some longer hikes. I recommend if you're out in the woods, especially in the wintertime when there's less hiking traffic, a pocket knife with you. Not have actually, to be honest, never needed it. It's one of those just in case things. Personally, I also have put together a very small and lightweight first aid kit, mainly things you might find on the trail, sting relief stuff, splinter removers, a few small band-aids, and things that could get you by till you get in the car. Even if you don't plan on being out after dark, I always recommend you have a flashlight. I have this little light here that I just keep on my backpack. Charge it every so often to make sure it's ready. In wintertime, it's one thing to keep in mind is if sunset is at 5:30 p.m. and you're in the woods in a valley, it will get dark in there around 4:30. Darkness comes much quicker. This is a bag. I don't even remember what it came from. I think it came from a diving mask or something. Anyways, I use it for my snacks. I have snacks usually at the summit of a hike or halfway point, depending on the type of hike. I'm going to have a bag of cereal. I got some hard-boiled eggs and some mozzarella stick that I'm going to grab out of the fridge. Granola bars. These are great. Just remember, when you open up a package, put the garbage back in here and take it with you. Don't leave it in the woods. It is not great for the wildlife. I do take other things. I take camera recording equipment, my 360 action cam, and my little pocket drone. Very important thing that I learned kind of the hard way one trip is make sure your phone is fully charged, especially if you're using it for a lot of pictures and videos. Your power, that recording takes a lot out of your camera, out of your phone. And if you're using GPS, tracking your hike on a map or something, make sure it's fully charged. Same thing with the watch. If you're using a watch, mine watch is it's a Phoenix 7. It's a Garmin watch, and it actually has a battery life of a couple weeks. So it's not as big on this one. However, when you're actively tracking a hike on it, it does engage the GPS more, and that 2 weeks of power is cut down to about a day. So I still want it fully charged when I start my hike. I also tend to take a power pack. This power pack, lightweight, small, it can magnetically attach to the back of my phone, so I don't have to worry about wires if I'm still using my phone. This will charge my phone 2 or 3 times, and amongst other devices I might have with me. And there's a lot of varieties of those out there. Find one that fits you. I do take, because the backpack, I hike alone a lot. If I hiked with a partner, my utility belt would be less important because I could ask somebody, hey, can you grab this out of my pack? But since I'm by myself, taking the pack on and off to get stuff out is annoying, so I wear a utility belt where I keep some stuff. Like, these are my climbing gloves, and if it's cold out and I have to touch the ground a lot climbing over boulders, I want to have the gloves on my hand. They're fingerless in a couple spots, but they're designed to be out in the weather. Anytime I'm going to be on an overlook or a cliff or a ledge, I have my phone on a tether. This way. I wanted to go over some snack ideas. If you're going to be hiking for in a few hours, you may want to have some snacks with you. Personally, if I'm going up a steep incline and I have a summit that I'll be at, I wait until I get to the peak to eat. If it's an up and down thing or a level type thing, I'll wait till at least the halfway point. It reduces my risk of possibly having muscle cramps from having digestion going on while, doing strenuous uphill type activities. Things to consider. One is durability. Berries are great. However, you might find if they're in your backpack in a lunch bag or something, they might get all smashed up and not be the great. Bananas are also great snacks. In fact, the wrapper is biodegradable. But again, they add a little bit of weight, more than you need to add, and they can get mashed. And if you're hiking in the wintertime and your backpack's getting cold, they will brown very quickly out in the wild. I do like string cheese. Just remember to pack your garbage out when you're done. It's handy. It's fairly lasts, as long as it's not going to be too terribly long, because it is a dairy product. Nuts are great. Put them in a little portable container. I don't recommend containers like this. I recommend some form of little bag. Now, they do have reusable bags that you can get, and some things that are a little more environmentally friendly than these plastic throwaway Ziploc bags. If you do take something that's throwaway, make sure you bring it back. Don't leave it in nature. Cereal is great. Try to keep the sugar content kind of low. You may want the energy at the top. Sodium is good, so salted nuts might be better than unsalted. Hard-boiled eggs, one of my favorites. Now, of course, on a tiring hike up a hill, I don't want to sit around trying to peel off the shell and worry about little bits getting in my mouth. So I will peel them ahead of time, 1 or 2, stick them in a little baggie like this, maybe with a paper towel to keep them dry, or sprinkle a tiny bit of salt in there to give them a little saltiness. That works for me. You can fix a little sandwich to take with you. It's really a matter of preference. My tips would be avoid things that will get messy, and avoid things that, of course, if it's going to be warm out, avoid things that go bad quickly. If Jesus, great on winter hikes, might not be great in a summer hike where it's sitting for 3 or 4 hours at, 60, 70, 80 degrees. Cereal and nuts, great. They last pretty much anywhere. You can put them in pretty much any type of container, a plastic container, a metal container. You can wrap them in foil if you want. And that's another thing you can do with the eggs. If you don't want to use the plastic, aluminum foil is great. And if it does happen to get left behind, aluminum foil is better in the wild than plastic.
I mentioned layers before. I don't think I mentioned that I always take an extra pair of pants, socks, and sometimes even underwear. I also take comfortable shoes. So when I'm done hiking, especially if I'm on an uphill, tiring, sweaty trek, or if I'm walking through wet bushes and stuff and getting soaked, when I get back to the car, I have a more comfortable ride back. So I will swap out my pants and socks and shoes. That also keeps the cabin of the car from getting muddy from shoes and such. Anyways, I'm on my way to today's hike. Hopefully if all goes well. This is, you probably can't hear me well because I don't have my microphone in, but I'm at Drano Lake. I've never seen just a little part of the drive. The gorge is a beautiful place, and there's lots to see, even from a little tunnel. The train side looks more like a cave than a tunnel, but it's kind of the same thing. And then there's more. Yes. Let's see if we can see out the side there. See where I'm at. Oh, my hand is on the wheel. Oh, one hand, obviously. Lakes on the side. I do some exploring this summer with the paddleboard or kayak, or both. Well, I've arrived at the park. It's called Columbia Hills State Park, and this is amazing. I'll get some video when I get out of the car. It's oh wow, great view of Mount Hood from here. There's cliff faces all around me. This is, I'll try to see if you see some of it. Yeah. All right, we're just getting started. One thing to think about when you leave your car, lock it up of course, make sure you have keys in a zipped up or tight pocket or someplace where it won't get lost. The last thing you want is to get done with your trail and find that you can't get in your car and you're miles away from cell phone service. So keep that in mind. Now is a good time to start your watch if you're tracking your hike. Start your app on your phone if you're tracking it that way. Just make sure you have plenty of power. The thing about uphill is if you can walk, you can probably do it. Just go slow. If your breathing gets heavy, your heart starts beating heavy, stop and take a break. Generally, you don't want to do these hikes if you're under tight time constraints. A lot of times I bring my earbuds with me, but maybe twice have I actually used them. There's just so many other things to focus on out here. Anyways, I showed a minute ago, you saw what a waterfall from the parking lot. This is that waterfall from up here. You can't see from the parking lot very well is the big canyon that this water is pouring down into. Yeah, this is an awesome view. was a cool view from the top of the waterfall. Just goes to show you, it's just a tiny little trail off the side of the main trail, but you can hear the water flowing, so it was worth checking out, I think. It's such a nice, relaxing hike, and I could use that this weekend. Next weekend, I'm flying down to Maui for a couple weeks, visit my daughter and grandkids and their family. Hopefully I'll come back with a ton more content. In fact, I should be able to upload just fine from there. They do have internet. Wow, look how the shadows from the hills are. You got dark and light ahead. The sun is up there. I believe I'm on the water side, so I'm heading roughly south. I'm almost to a junction. That's what I wanted to see. I will show you what my tracking on all trails looks like. I can't show it to you while I'm recording this because I'm recording this particular thing on my phone. So when I get off, I'll bring it up, but do some screen capture. I mean, look at the trees. I think these trees are probably cooler looking now than they are in the spring and summer when they're filled with flowers and leaves. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're beautiful. In fact, this is a lot like not far from Catherine Creek and Coyote Ridge, or Wall. And I plan on going back there once the flowering season starts, because those places are supposed to be beautiful in the spring. And right now, they look a lot like this. Okay, this loop is not as pronounced as some other ones I've been on. So you see there, went off to the left, up there. I think I'm supposed to go to the right to stay with the all trails. Most of the time, just stay on the trail. If you find a need to get off the trail, please use caution. Watch where you step, for your sake and nature's. I have stepped in yellow jackets' nests before. That's an interesting experience. Generally, I'll step off if it's safe to get a nicer view for a photograph, or if I really have to pee and I need to hide behind a tree, which is nothing. Just because I'm about, let's see if you can see that, I'm about an hour into my hike, 2.25 miles. This is my view. It's beautiful, and all right, how can I not show this view? Miles do you suppose that is from here? The farthest I can see out that way. Well, there's two peaks on this one, very close together, so I'm pretty much on the first peak. Then there'll be a bit of a dip and then back up. I will say, don't be fooled by the All Trails elevation map. Or ascension map. It may look like a short distance going up, and it could seem like it drags on forever. After all, about a 2 inches wide graph, they're mapping out, at least in this case, 6 miles. So it's compressed a bit. 1/8 of an inch, that's like half a mile or so. What is it? This is beautiful out here. It's amazing. This is, look at these trees, which I turned on my 360 camera up there while I walk through these. I'll post it as a 360 video on YouTube. If you're unfamiliar with those, you can grab the image with your mouse and look all around in all directions, like Google Street View. But with everybody, God, the water looks so clean here. Look at that. Nice, beautiful views. I'm gonna put this down and get out my lunch. Have a hard-boiled egg and I brought some Special K cereal. I snack a little bit of that to get some crunchiness in my mouth, and of course, as always, lots of water. wanted to point something out here. Whenever you go on a trail that's like where you have a couple hours each way or more, this one will probably be around a 4-hour trip altogether, maybe less. The lighting will change, so even though you might find yourself coming back through places you've already walked on the way up a trail, you're coming from a different angle, plus the lighting being different, you will see things that you can't believe you missed before. Vista Loop. Don't leave garbage. Don't pee in a river. Don't eat the bunnies unless it's an emergency. That has not come up for me, just for the record. No bunnies were harmed in the making of any of my videos. I didn't really get sweaty or muddy or wet, so I'm not going to change my pants, but I will change my shoes and socks so that I can relax and be comfortable on the drive back. Alright, I'm back in the car. Another successful hike with amazing views. Every one seems to have something different. This one was, it was nice out. It's been a while. It's, I think spring is coming. Weather's starting to change. Something to do when you get back to the car is, for one, make sure that your garbage is taken care of. If there's a place, use the bathroom if you got a long drive ahead. Do some stretches. The older you are, the more the stretches are probably going to be useful. My muscles, and just like the rest of me, they don't recover as quickly as they did when I was younger, so stretches are great. And if you need more information on that, just do some searching on YouTube. There's plenty of people out there with stretching and yoga routines, especially for hiking specifically.